Hey guys, welcome back to Storytime with UncleAlex. I'm Alex. Sorry I've been away for a little bit. I was dealing with the last few days for my semester of class, so it was killer, but I think I pulled through it. I'm going to get back on the grind of getting videos going. It's not something I wanted to put off, but I needed to finish school and fix some things with my computer, so hopefully I'll be able to get going back on the videos and putting them out for you guys to watch. With that, today's stories are from r/malicious compliance. So let's get into the stories. You don't want to wait in the ED if you insist. Don't know for sure if this fits here, but I thought you guys would appreciate what happened tonight. For starters, I work as a security guard for one of those few hospitals in our city. Besides dealing with combative patients and visitors and doing patrols around the campus, we occasionally get asked to assist with getting people out of their vehicles and escort them by the wheelchair to the emergency department, or their appointments at an on-site clinic. Today, a couple of nurses came to our office, asking for our help. They received a call from a gentleman, who we will call Gerald, asking for help to get out of their car, as he was in severe pain. I went out with the nurses, pushing a wheelchair, and radioed my partner to come assist, as it sounded like it was going to take some extra help to help him out. It took a little bit for us to find him, but we found him thanks to him blowing his car horn for all to hear. I've interacted with dramatic people before, and this guy was no different. He told us all about how he was in so much pain, how he drove himself all the way over here and couldn't move the car anymore, and how he needed to be treated. We tried to offer help, but he refused to grab our arms or our hands to steady himself, relying on the car door and the wheelchair to get himself in it. Once he got himself settled, he asked me to move the vehicle to a better parking spot. After all, he had a handicap sticker, and he needed the space to get in when he finished his visit here. So I obliged, feeling a little bit odd about the whole situation, and moved his car to a handicap spot near the ED entrance. Gerald got checked in at the ED and we were done with the situation. At least, that's what I thought. Boy, were we wrong. Not even 20 minutes later, I get told that this guy wanted to leave and wanted us to take him back to his car. Apparently, he started complaining and moaning about how the wait time was too long. Keep in mind that there are people in the waiting room who have been there for hours. The ED was very full today, and this guy couldn't stand being there for even a few minutes. I first checked with the ED staff because I was worried about the fact that he himself said he couldn't drive. They told me that since they had triaged him, and he wanted to leave so soon, they legally couldn't hold him there even if they wanted to. They didn't care that much since they were already busy with treating their patients. So I went back out to the ED and asked him point blank if he was really sure he wanted to leave, because I didn't want to be held responsible in case he drove and got into an accident. But he said yes, but he wanted to leave right then and now. So I reluctantly pushed him out of the ED towards his car. This is where the malicious compliance begins. Gerald starts saying verbatim, "When we get to my car, I'm going to call the ambulance." Me, wait, what? Gerald, yeah, I'm going to call an ambulance. I can't drive, and I don't like everyone here except you. They're too slow here, and I'm not spending all night here. Besides, calling an ambulance would get me to a room quicker, and I can get help with my pain. Me, so you want to call an ambulance to take you to the ED when you're already here at an ED? And all that because the wait time is too long for you? Gerald, yeah. Me, you realize that if you call an ambulance, they may just take you back to the waiting area and have you wait there, right? Gerald, yeah, I know that. I'm still going to call. Me, well, okay, if that's what you want to do. So after helping the guy into his car, I decided to let him do just that. At that point, there was nothing else I could do. After all, I'm just a security guard, not his doctor. So I just pushed the wheelchair back in and went about my business. About 30 minutes later, I'm looking at CCTV footage, and right there, next to this guy's car, is an ambulance. My jaw dropped. The guy actually called 911 for an ambulance, and they came. I continued to watch as the AMT worker helped this guy into a gurney and placed him into the ambulance. Then, to my utter shock, they drove off campus. I had thought they were going to drop him back off here, but they freaking left for another hospital. I then realized a couple of things. One, this guy's going to another hospital and going to be gone for who knows how long. Two, when he gets discharged, he's not going to have a ride, because, you guessed it, his car is over here at this hospital. Plus, our policy that if a car is parked in our lot for a few days and we confirm the owner is not here, we have to call the police and report an abandoned vehicle. So, this guy is now getting an additional cost added to his medical expenses because he took the ambulance. Possibly have to wait even more in the ED of another hospital before being seen, and may rack up some fines for abandoning his car depending on how long he's there. All because he didn't want to wait in the ED with everyone else. But, hey, guess 20 minutes was way too much for him. Edit. Just found out that the car was taken earlier this morning. So, no car fines for this guy. Yeah, that's luck. I used to work at a hospital. I remember seeing tow trucks come in. Some of the guys were taken to another hospital because they didn't like the one where I lived, and the hospital can't do nothing about it. They need the parking space. But honestly, if it only would have took them 20 minutes to get it back there, he should have just waited. I mean, if you're hurt, you're just wasting extra time to possibly go to another hospital, to possibly wait in their emergency department. That whole thing is a long shot, because you could go to another hospital and just be screwed by waiting in the ED the same amount of time you were waiting in the one that you were just at. That's crazy. Patience. I mean, I get if you're in pain, but if you're not dying and hunched over, patience is the key. Punish me for being right? Good luck. Over a decade ago, I was a material handler at a manufacturing company. Pretty tedious work breaking down large batches of materials into smaller manageable quantities for the workers. Got to keep every station supplied, well organized, and order materials to meet future quotas. One day, I noticed a new lot of parts are out of spec. They are too small and will damage the final product, causing it to fail testing later. This part comes in lots between 5,000 and 30,000, depending on what was ordered and past inspection from the supplier. I put a hold on the lot of 25,000, email the appropriate people, follow procedures. Looking through the system, I realized we only have about 1,000 on hand, one more lot in warehouse for 7,000. This is enough for 1 week. I placed another order for 30,000. We usually get about 25,000. It takes 2 weeks to get. Another week for cleaning and polishing. I sent off another email informing of the shortage and how it will impact production. The only response I got was, "We'll look into it." After we ran out of parts, I was ordered to take the out-of-specs parts off hold. I refused. An engineer hadn't cleared them. The engineer was on vacation out of town, and the other didn't know. A few days later, some random engineer from another department told me that they were good. I got a verbal warning for insubordination, and relieved of my material handler duties, got put back on production. 2 weeks later, all the parts start failing. 2 weeks worth of about 110 people's labor. Machine time, untold tens, possibly hundreds of thousands of individual parts wasted. Chaos erupts. Mandatory overtime set, and I'm just smiling. About 2 months go by. 4th of July weekend coming up, and I got 5 days weekend with PTO. Manager tries to cancel, but I already had it approved in January. Almost everyone in the room was going to be working the 5th and the 6th, Friday and Saturday. People were quitting left and right. Being forced to work 60 hours burns them out. Since we had been working these few special machines so hard on overtime, the material was running out that it used to spray on the parts. To replace it, it requires a 3-day cycle, in which will usually happen on a Friday to Sunday every couple months. We were about a week ahead of schedule with the overtime. I knew it, but no one else was paying attention. I decided to take a half day on Tuesday, so I could leave during the team leads meeting that I used to be a part of. On my way out, I mentioned this little problem. A couple of them ran to confirm. I grabbed a soda and left. Got a text from a coworker. They ran out of materials Wednesday morning. Everyone got a 4-day weekend like they were supposed to. 10 people, including myself, quit on Monday. Moral of the story, don't F with the people that do all your future planning if you can't do it yourself. So, employee forewarned bosses that they were running out of materials. Bosses said, "Eh. Well, I guess karma comes to bite you right back in the butt. Since, you don't want to listen to them, you knocked them back down in production for no reason." I mean, most of these stories always get me, because it's always the higher-ups of the person that's telling these stories always seem to know what's right and wrong, but ends up turning around and they were wrong the whole time. It could have saved them time if they had just went and looked to see that they didn't have that many materials left, and it would have saved them on a shutdown. Some of these bosses, man, you just gotta learn to listen sometimes. It would save them in the end. Can't do my job without manager approval. Okay. So I was a cashier at a low-price store. Don't want to say any more than this, it'd be too obvious and I could get in trouble. I, 28 female, told my store manager, 22 male, last year that to help out during times of need. I don't mind being trained as another manager temporarily, until he could find someone to replace the one that was leaving. Everything worked well. I also ended up switching back and forth between my original store and the deadbeat one, closer to home. I did stay at the deadbeat for other reasons I don't want to get into. When I got back to my OG store, I was able to keep the manager position on paper, the pay raise, and the privileges. One day, I was somehow $5 down. This had never happened to me before. Store manager figured it was because I had used these privileges without calling my coworker, amazing manager, over to supervise. I had been off for several months due to deadbeat store issues. Store manager then told me that I needed to call management anytime I needed to do anything that a normal cashier couldn't do without calling them. Cue malicious compliance. The next day, I did exactly that. Any multi-purchases of 24 items or more, I called the management over. Associate sale? Manager. Exchange? Sure. Manager. I had warned amazing manager that I was planning on doing this. She got fed up about the second time and gave me her code, because she knew I could do the job and she was too busy actually running the store. The day came where I did this with store manager. The day came where I did this with store manager. By the time I paged the second time, he said, "Just do what you need. Let me know when you used your code at the end of the day. Might be small, but it felt good." Edit. I am glad a lot of you enjoyed my story. I'd like to clear up that I genuinely love my managers. I feel respected by them for my hard work and I feel very accommodated, especially with the amount of times I've had to leave for a day or two because of childcare issues or I'm sick. Store manager did start fresh out of high school by my understanding and worked hard to get where he is. He did work close with our district manager, which is why he took over my store after all the employees walked out a year and a half ago. Because store manager is truly a great guy, I wanted to show him that he did not need to have anyone hover over my shoulders with how busy we normally are during my shift. Nothing was ever written down that I had to call. There was no point. It was a private conversation to start, but therefore it ended up in a private conversation. I knew it would have with the flow of things, so I didn't want to take it too far because I generally love my job and my customers. It's so therapeutic for me. Also, I live in Canada. More specifically, the West Coast, though I'm from the Panhandle, or OG Canada. I know it doesn't make much of a difference, except that minimum wage up here is high compared to what I've heard from my brethren down south. That was actually a very gentle malicious compliance. She technically was a manager, so he said that she needed to call management. She did exactly how she was supposed to do it, and on the other end, both managers kind of said, okay, well, you do seem to know what you're doing. Tell when you use the codes. And at the end of the day, they're not fighting with each other, not yelling at each other, and she has respect for her bosses. They seem to have respect for her. That was more of a gentle malicious compliance, and honestly, sometimes it doesn't always go down like that. Sometimes it's a battle of, well, I'm the boss. The battle of, well, I know what I'm doing. It's nice to see a story like that where there's malicious compliance used. She did exactly what she was told, but it just didn't end in a fight. And that's a good malicious compliance. I actually like that story. Alright guys, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to leave a comment down below and let me know how I'm doing, and if you're enjoying the stories, leave a comment. And if you want to see more, and you want to know when a new video is dropping, why don't you hit that subscribe button down below. That way you get a notification every time I drop a new video. I'm Uncle Alex, and I'll see you next time.